Thank you so much, and distinguished guests, colleagues and friends. It's a great honour to be here at your conference, which is already going so very well. I came to India as a very small child with my mother and have long wanted to come back. So being given this opportunity is wonderful, and I certainly will be coming back to India again after the last 10 days that I've spent in your beautiful country. Our previous speakers have spoken about specific libraries and how the change has happened with them, and Pilar has given us some information about the Gates Foundation and libraries around the world. But what I'm going to talk to you about is how public libraries in Australia are working together to change. So I'm going to press the enter. Yes. Very quickly, I don't need to tell you where Australia is because that was on Alison's slide. You all know it's the Great South Land down in the Indian and Pacific Ocean. We've got 1,500 public libraries spread across the country, and that includes mobile libraries. Some of those are huge state-of-the-art libraries in cities such as Sydney and Melbourne, down to little country libraries in small country towns, and the Indigenous knowledge centres of the Northern Territory and Western Australia and Queensland, often which are only accessible for a few months of the year because in the wet season the services just can't be delivered. We have 6 states and 2 territories in Australia, not as many as you have here in India. I think you've got 29 states and 7 territories, but even so, those states and territories all have different funding arrangements, and each of them are responsible for public libraries. So trying to get agreement from those stakeholders can sometimes be a little bit difficult. Public libraries in Australia are free and all provide internet access, and nearly all provide Wi-Fi for their communities. Now, Australia and India have a lot in common. We're 2 ancient lands. We're both amongst the largest countries in the world. We're both former British colonies. We both celebrate our National Day on the 26th of January. So when you're celebrating here in India on the 26th of January 2016, think of us having a barbecue on a hot summer's day on the other side of the equator. And of course, the other thing we have in common is we're both passionate about cricket. And with Australian, New Zealand and English presenters, you couldn't expect us not to mention it. But the other thing that we have in common is that you here in India are looking at the future of public libraries. The theme here, envisaging the future. And in Australia, in 2013, we did the same thing. We set out to discover what was the future of public libraries in our land. And so how would we remain relevant for users? We held events all around Australia. We went to, and when I say we, I mean the Australian Library and Information Association, also known as ALIA. We went all around Australia and we asked stakeholders, we asked library managers, we asked library staff, we asked library suppliers, we asked government, what do you think are the way that public libraries will go? And we were able to, together, identify 12 themes and develop actions that will support those positive actions. Now, I'm not going to go through those 12 themes, but what I am going to do is just highlight a few of them. And remember, these are agreed themes that those 1,500 libraries across the country are doing. So first of all, it's not all about the book, it's about the space. And we've had, with Brian's presentation on Birmingham, an example of a wonderful library space. We recognise that public libraries need to be inviting, they need to be accessible, they need to be equal. They're often co-located in a community space, but what they need to be is a safe place to go. And so what we have nationally are agreed standards and guidelines for library buildings, which are reviewed regularly. And we all try and work towards having agreed standards in our public libraries. This photo is actually not of an Australian public library. It's of a library in Sweden, in Malmö, but it's one that I particularly love because it does look like someone's living room. And that's what we're trying to create, a place where everybody feels welcome. And just as a quick plug for in my IPLC role, we do have a website called 1001 Libraries to See Before You Die. And I will include the web address with my notes. And if you want to see some really beautiful libraries and to get some inspiration, I suggest you have a look at that. We also recognise that reading is a national pastime and a national passion, but we also recognise that literacy levels in our country are not as high as we would like them to be. And so in 2012 we held a National Year of Reading. It was the one time we got money from the federal or central government for a public library initiative, and it was a huge success. And really we built on what public libraries were already doing. We now have a successor program, Love to Read, which delivers a range of national reading programs for all age groups. We're also very focused on new reading in a digital age. We work in a very concentrated way with publishers and also with the international library community about making digital books available in public libraries. And this has been a very hard slog, but we are having some real success. And we're also very involved in the importance of reading for well-being in the community. We're also very focused on everybody being a member. 44% of the Australian population have a library card and are active members, and many more people just use the library on a day-to-day basis. So they will come in just to read the newspapers or to use the internet. That's quite a large market share, but we're very greedy and we would like more people to be library members. And so we're looking at a national program where everybody gets library membership at birth, so that we can build on that. And we have an early childhood literacy strategy to get children in from the day they're born and bring them in for baby rhyme programs, for story time. So that importance of using a library for reading, for knowledge, for fun is there from birth. A growing market in Australia, coming to the change, are the grey nomads, those baby boomers who have retired and who spend their life in their caravan moving around the countryside. And about making a card, one card is something that we are working collaboratively on. It already exists in some of our states, so it doesn't matter which library you go to, you can borrow from that and return or use their services. And you can imagine it is quite a complicated system, but we're taking baby steps and it's been very successful. We're also very focused on connected communities and the importance of digital literacy. Without digital literacy, we can't have engaged citizens in today's world. So much government information is available through the web, and we very much support the Lyon Declaration as a nation in making sure that our citizens have got the skills to be able to use the technology of today. Two initiatives that we have are eSmart Libraries and Tech Savvy Seniors, which are purpose-built systems to provide the community with the skills to be smart, safe and responsible when using technology, and to give our seniors the skills to be able to use technology well. And we are very focused as well on exploration and discovery through learning and maker spaces. Finally, creative and learning communities are important to us. We recognise that each community is different and that we work with our communities to ensure that they are creatively using our spaces. So that can be as Brian was talking about, having events in the library, having a place where people can meet and creating learning opportunities, whether it's for children, whether it's for adults. Those baskets in the photo are actually from a project that we did in my own library, where people from the local Aboriginal people came and worked with the community to show them how to dye and to weave baskets using natural products from within our area. And this is a skill that is being lost, and we feel that it's important to continue to develop that. Similarly, we work with the local community, and when I say we, I mean across the country, to tell local stories and to capture those stories, to create online resources. And something that many of our libraries are working with currently is on capturing stories around the centenary of World War I and creating a lasting record of how the Australian community was affected by the Australian nation was affected by its involvement in World War I, because it was for us, like many of you here, a war that was very far away, and we lost many young men. So I will make my PowerPoint available with notes, and again, if you have an opportunity, if you have a question you'd like to ask me, please contact me. And finally, to go back to the first, may the best team win, whether it is Australia, New Zealand or India. Sorry UK, sorry England. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.